Hi, I'm Heather Hubbard. I went from being a lawyer and partner at one of the largest firms in America to becoming an online personality and successful entrepreneur. I know what it takes to rise to the top. I also know all too well the toll it can take on your health and personal life. So, how do you shine bright without burning out? How do you chase joy while achieving success? You're listening to the Hustle and Flow podcast. Welcome back to another episode of Hustle and Flow. I am your host, Heather Hubbard, and this is my cat, Karma. She wanted to join us, or I thought she wanted to join us, but now she's not sure. Welcome back. Welcome back. We are on the last episode of the year. This is my favorite week of the year. I love the time between the holiday get-togethers, events, parties, and the new year. It is also my birthday, December 28th. So it's a very festive and celebratory year or week. um, it has been a festive and celebratory year. For me, I came off of a health situation, and so I've really embraced being alive and having fun. But what I meant to say was it's a fun and celebratory week. And I think one of the other reasons why I really, really enjoy this week is I'm a dreamer. I'm a futurist. I love planning ahead, dreaming big. And this just feels like the most magical time to do all of that. So I have so many New Year rituals that I do during this time. And so I wanted to keep this episode light and fun, not heavy planning, but fun planning. And I did an episode a long time ago. It was episode 100. I looked it up. 100. I love it. Episode 100. Um, I shared it was the word of the year and some other interesting um, things that you can do. So you can always go back and listen to that if you want more ideas. But I thought I would give 5 ideas today to help you play around and have fun with your New Year 2024 planning. Do one, do them all, whatever you are feeling. Okay. The first one, and if you've been following me for a while, you know I love, I am obsessed with vision boards. I think that might have been the first workshop that I did. It was so fun. I rented out this space in a coffee shop and so many wonderful people came. We actually had, I think, 2 different sessions of doing vision boards. It was so much fun. I loved it so much. One year for my birthday party, I had a bunch of friends over and we did vision boards. I do them every single year. Um, Even when I got sick, I did them. They were a little late. My vision board for 2023 did not happen until it was May or June. So it doesn't have to be at the beginning of the year, but this is the perfect time to do it. Perfect time to do it. Um, we used to have vision boards as an option when we would do the big live planning event every year. And for our retreat at Miraval in February, it is a requirement. You have to bring your vision board. So if you're listening and you've not looked at your instructions yet, you're going to need to do a vision board. So listen up. Okay. So I do an entire detailed explanation for how to do a vision board in episode 46. Episode 46. So if you want all the details, go back and listen to that. I do my vision boards a little bit different than I think a lot of people because a lot of people use them as a visual representation of their goals, whereas I like to use it as a way to bring out what is buried deep down in your soul, as a way to actually be the vision and to lead you towards setting your goals. It's a little bit different. Um, so on this YouTube video, I will share, I don't know how many I can get in, but I'll share as many vision boards as possible so that you can see some of what I have come up with over the years. But it is a great, great way to start off the year. Um, I have a friend who does a vision board with her husband. And every time I go over, I love to see it. They have it in their kitchen, and so I can see hers. I can see theirs. I don't know if he does his own. Um, my husband, Mike, is fully supportive of everything I do, but this is not his thing. Will not be doing a vision board with me. Damn it. So if you have the kind of husband that is willing to do a joint vision, maybe you want to get your kids in on it too. That would be really, really cool. But I also have clients who have listened to this over the years, and they do it with their families. So each person has their own. I have a friend who she's a partner at a law firm, and so she has her entire office do it. It's just a great way for each person to bring to the table their own hopes and dreams and likes and things that are important to them. And then if you share them in a community, it's really, really interesting because you learn things about people you didn't know. And sometimes I know with mine, like I sometimes know what something means on my vision board, but I don't want to share it publicly. And you don't have to, right? Because no one really knows. It might mean something, but it might mean something else. Um, but anyway, that is number one. That's a really, really fun way to plan for the new year. And this is a great week to do it. If you have time off, it's great to tackle a craft because it's crafty like that. Mine, I keep looking to my right. So if you're watching the video, so to the right, this is where I hang my vision board in my new office, so I can see it all of the time. The other thing I have up there is I have these color coded um, index cards with stickers and the names of each person coming to my retreat in February gets their own name because I want to see them each and every day. I want to be reminded that this is the focus. We are working on sending good vibes to these people. So it's like the vision of what I'm wanting, and then also the vision of what I'm wanting to achieve with my next event, my next goal, and it just makes me smile and it keeps me focused. So I highly encourage you to frame it, make it a piece of artwork, and incorporate it into your life each and every year. Number two, this is something I've been doing for a really long time too. And it might have been the first year I did no, that would have been the next year. So the second year, I started doing CLEs. So for lawyers, they have to have continuing legal education. And so I became a provider and started doing CLEs, lots of different kinds. But one was related to planning for the year. And I've always been a little bit different. I do things a little bit, out of the box. Um, but there's a reason why. I feel like if we don't use the right side of our brains, if we're not creative, we miss out on a lot. So, this particular exercise is called the dream list or the bucket list. I now call it my joy list. So, the concept here is to brainstorm as many things as you can. I've done, in the past, I would do 100. And the very first time I did it, and which was probably a decade ago. And so you literally document all of these things that you want to do. And so a lot of times, right, we think of a bucket list like before I die, these are the things that I want to do, the experiences I want to have. And so you just write it down. You don't judge it. You don't worry about is it possible? None of that. You just and don't like be like, well, do I want that or do I want something else? If you need a list of 500, do that, right? So just write as many as possible and add to it. I recently, in the last few weeks, actually went back to old journals and found my list from about a decade ago. And it was amazing how much I actually accomplished on that list. So part of it is just writing it down. It's kind of like putting it out into the universe or in your own psyche subconsciously so that you start working towards those things. Um, That's part of it. The other part that was interesting was there were some things on there that I no longer have any interest in doing whatsoever. And so I can mark those off, you know? Normally, I like to check at the end of each year, I go back and I work off the same list as opposed to creating new ones. But if you've never done one before, create a new one. If you have done them before, have you checked them recently? Have you looked at it? Go back, look at it. So you can check off the things that you've accomplished, and then you can mark out things that are no longer of interest to you. Our dreams and desires change, and I think a lot of times we hang on to things, or it's very much like I have to do everything on my list. Well, you may not be interested anymore, so you can mark it off, add new things. um, it's a lot of fun. But one of the things that I have started focusing on is also adding to that list in terms of just things that would bring me joy. Now, on my dream list, I often had things that were very joyful. Um, some are just straight up business related, but I think it's important to think about what would be fun. Like, wouldn't it be cool if? Wouldn't it be amazing if? Wouldn't it be wild if this happened in 2024 or beyond, right? Sometimes if you just give it a year limit, like you constrict yourself, and so like you need to say like before I die so that it's really big. Um but I think oftentimes we forget that the joy is in the journey. If you are a type A high achiever, it is so easy to create these big audacious goals. And there's nothing wrong with that. I love a big goal. Love a big goal. Um but sometimes those goals can totally distract us. And oh my goodness, what we actually had an episode, I'll put it in the YouTube um, video. We had an episode called, I think, Joy is in the Journey. It was a keynote that I did in Miami for one of our live planning events. And we talk about that. It's this concept of, you want to reach your goals, but if you're not having fun along the way, it doesn't mean it's always going to be fun. Every day is not going to be fun. But if you're not having fun along the way, when you reach those goals, there's this like moment of yay, but it's mostly like now what? It's not lasting. And so we have to focus on lasting joy. I've been so focused on joy this year. So I've kind of shifted the bucket list, the dream list to the joy list. So I want you to think about what would be fun, what would bring me joy if this happened this year. So yeah, put down the business goals, but also put down silly things, creative things, just fun, juicy things. Okay. So that is another fun way to get planning for the new year. And then next year you can come back and see what all happened. And you might be surprised. I'm always surprised. I'm like, how did all of this happen? It's so cool. Okay. Number one was the vision board. Number two was the joy list. Number three is a tarot forecast. I love tarot cards. Love, 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 love tarot cards. Um, it was actually one of the bonuses that we did for the Black Friday special for the retreat, because I used to do this for other people. They would come to my house. It was always local. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't know that I ever did it online. I could do it, but they would come to my house and I would pull a card for every single month and then a card for the year. And sometimes I do these for myself, and sometimes I hire someone else to do them for me. But we all have intuition. We all have intuition. And so you could do it for yourself. If you're like, I know nothing about tarot and I am convinced I have no intuition, then you can always hire someone to do it. It's not going to be me, someone else. But I like to do these myself. I'm highly intuitive. And so I used to not do it because it's sometimes hard when like you're too close to something. Um, but I've gotten pretty good at being able to distance myself from that, and do it in just a very joyful way. So, when I'm doing it for myself, and if you did it for yourself, it may not be the same as like a psychic reading, but you're going to get a lot of insight and information, and it's just fun. Play, have fun with it. So you take the tarot deck and you shuffle it up real good. And then you just hold the deck. I like to close my eyes, really kind of like get in tune and just ask for like, you know, the messages to be clear and for me to have a clear heart and a clear mind. Um, yeah, it's just, keep it clear, keep it light, keep it fun. And then you could go straight from the order of the deck. A lot of people do that. They just pull straight off. I like to actually feel for it. So I'll hold the deck and then I just kind of like feel for what card is speaking to me next, pull it out. And I pull them all face down. And you can do it in a row or you can do it in a circle. It doesn't matter too much. But you're literally saying what January, and then you pull out January and you pull out February. And then at the end, after you've done January through December, you say, and the theme for the year, and you pull that one out. And then flip them each at a time. So if you flip January, you're going to look at the card and just, you don't have to overanalyze it. Like what do you see? What do you think it means? I was in the Berkshires in Miraval and they did a tarot class and I was just curious what they would teach. And a lot of the people in there knew nothing about tarot. And everyone pulled a card on their own and then had to interpret it without knowing anything about tarot, just like what they were seeing. And everybody was spot on. And like knowing tarot, I was just amazed at how you pick up on the energy and what the card represents. There's then even more to it if you know tarot, but a great resource. I love Biddy Tarot, Biddy Tarot. She has you can look up the meanings of every single card. She has upright and reversed. If you're not familiar with tarot, don't do that. Like just even if it's upside down, assume it's upright. That's kind of a little bit more advanced, but I love her meanings on the cards. I think they're very accurate and very easy to understand. So you'll pick out some things that, like, oh, maybe this means this, but you're not using it as a way to like be like, this is exactly what's going to happen. You're using it as a way to just kind of have fun and to think about the year ahead and what might happen or not happen. So I always do my tarot forecast. That's a really fun way to plan for the year. That is number 3. Okay. Number 4. Number 4 is a letter to yourself. I actually have used this before in let's see, we did it in San Diego recently, and I've done it with my masterminds before. It's something that I learned from, you guessed it, Miraval. I've I've been leading retreats there since 2016. They are amazing. I love what they do. And so some of their things inspire me. And one of the things that they have is a letter to yourself. So when you go to Miraval, they give you blank piece of paper and an envelope and tell you to write yourself a letter, put your name and address on it, and then you just drop it in this box as you leave. And then they keep track of them. How they do this, I don't know. I feel like it's like this huge logistical thing. I doubt if they do it by the day, maybe by the month. Anyway, doesn't matter. But they will then send it to you 3 months later. And I always write myself a letter because it's so interesting to go back to the energy of where you were in that moment. And oftentimes I ask myself questions like, did you do this or did you do this? Because like I would make a commitment while I was there in that space, just to kind of like see where I am with it. And sometimes I'm like, oh shit, I did not do that. Totally forgot. I got sidetracked and it gets me refocused. And other times it's like, yeah, this did happen or this didn't happen. And it's just a great way to reconnect with the planning part. And I think that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So it's one of the things that I've been doing during COVID. I kind of came up with the concept. So either one of these will work for you, which is ever is better. You can write yourself something, especially if you're using like a Google Calendar or an iLook calendar. Um, did I just say iLook? I don't even know what that is. I mean, Outlook. Look, y'all, I don't even know. Just go with me. The annotations, the subtitles, they sometimes have a really hard time understanding what I'm saying. I think I get tripped up sometimes when I'm speaking. I've got a little bit of that country southern slang. Anyway, Outlook. Outlook, if you're using Google Calendar or Outlook, you can like do it three months out. So you could just like in the event, like you could, if it's private, you can write yourself a message and then make sure that there's like an appointment reminder on it, notification. And so it'll pop up in 3 months. You'll totally forget about it and you'll get to read the letter to yourself. Another way to do it is to actually write the letter, seal it up, put it somewhere where you're not going to lose it or forget it, and then put in your calendar to just go open the letter. So when planning, I now think it's a really great idea to think about, and I mean, I've always talked about this since we started Goals Reimagined way back in the day, but it's how you want to feel. Again, this goes back to the joy is in the journey. Did you accomplish certain things? Yeah, that's great. Did you focus on certain things? Yeah, that's great. Do you need a pep talk? Probably. Um, but also, are you focusing on the things that bring you joy in the interim? And that's the feelings. So if you don't want to feel overwhelmed and frazzled, then you really need to make it a priority to do better boundaries, better scheduling, say no to more things and more people. And so, like, that would be a great question for yourself in 3 months. What are the ways in which you prioritized feeling less frazzled and less overwhelmed? And did that work? Are there new things you want to try? And if that didn't work, why did you not prioritize it? Were you afraid? Were you scared? Where do you need more help, more resources, more support? So it's this concept that on the front end, sometimes we think we're a little bit more neutral, we're a little bit more clear in the way we would analyze something on the back end. On the back end, after it's already happened, um, the way that I do my quarterly planning, if you've worked with me before, we kind of review, right, what's happened before we set the new one. But when you're reviewing, when you're looking in the rearview mirror, if things didn't turn out the way that you wanted, sometimes you can get a little bit emotional about it. And a lot of times, well, there's two extremes. One is you totally beat yourself up, right? Like you were just really, really hard on yourself. But the other, and frankly, I see it just as much as the beating yourself up, is letting yourself off the hook. And you're like, so it's like, well, this happened and this happened. And so, yeah, give yourself grace. But when you're constantly giving yourself grace to the point that you are making excuses for what you really want in your life, that ain't grace. That ain't grace. That is self sabotage. So, I really think that it's great to go ahead and think from a neutral perspective on the front end. What are the questions that I need to be asking myself such that I can be really honest with myself and either celebrate wins, get back on track, get the pep talk I need? So I highly encourage that you go ahead and do that. If you were a big planner, right, for the whole year, so you've already got like your whole year mapped out, you could go ahead and write letters for each and every quarter. But if you're just focusing on a quarter at a time, or you're kind of more open to things shifting and letting that determine what you're doing, then I would just do one quarter and then read that. And then at that end of that quarter, write another one for the next quarter. Hopefully that makes sense. But if you know that you're wanting to do certain things this summer, you can go ahead and write the letter for the end of the summer, right? So, like, you might have, I know things that I want to do or feel or accomplish in the first quarter and the second quarter and the third quarter and the fourth quarter. You just get the calendar out, right? So, You can also do both, but it's really, really powerful. So I encourage you to do that. It can be a lot of fun too, to get a note from yourself. It might seem weird and cheesy, but it's actually so much fun. Okay. Number five. Number five. Punch it up. In the stand-up comedy world, punch it up means that you've got a joke, you've got a story, but it needs more punch, more oomph. So as you're planning, if you have your own planning rituals, great. Just punch it up. And the best way to punch it up, I'm having a little bit too much fun with this word and my actions. The best way to punch it up is to get creative, is to get childlike, is to make it pure joy, pure fun. And that could mean, as opposed to doing it in a Word document or a Google, document, as opposed to doing it in your software system, there's nothing wrong to do it all technologically. Maybe get out some colored paper. If you have ever come to any of my events, you know that this is one of the tools I use to get you thinking outside the box. You've also heard me, I'm sure, say, especially you lawyers, if you are using a legal pad, you're not thinking outside the box. Partly because, like, that's where you take your legal notes. So don't use the legal pad. Get out just some blank, pieces of paper that are unruled, that aren't organized, and they're loose, they're colorful, they're neon, because your brain's going to plan differently. So you can use your same process, but just use colored paper. Use colored pens. Use glitter pens. Use stickers. Yeah, like go to scrapbooking or just go to Walmart in the children's section, the card section, and buy a bunch of crazy stickers. Whatever you want. I love there's these gold stars that I get at Paper Source. I love them. I use them when I accomplish certain things each day. It's like, I love a gold star. I mean, I'm sure that goes back to being a kid, but I fucking love it. And so I give myself that pleasure of a gold star. So just go out and get things that would be fun. You could get index cards, colored index cards, anything that can make it different. Maybe you want to play some music, some upbeat music. Maybe it's some holiday music. Personally, when I'm trying to write and think, music is a little distracting for me, but I know a lot of people love it. Create a fun, festive atmosphere. Um, Anything that's going to, you might even like, depending on how crazy you want to get, how luxurious you want to get, really out there, like you might even rent a hotel room, a place to get away so that you can't be interrupted with your kids, your family. Lock yourself in a basement, tell them you're on a webinar. Then like break out the neon colored stickers and pencils and glitter. And then your kids are going to be like, what the hell just happened in here? So punch it up. Punch up your planning. Not only is it going to make it more enjoyable and fun, but I guarantee you're going to have some creative, outside the box solutions and creative ideas. So there you have it. There you have it. 5 ways to plan for the new year that are going to be fun for you. And then again, you can also go listen to episode 100 for the word of the year and other ideas. So I hope you're subscribing on YouTube. I hope you're watching on YouTube. Leave a comment below the video. Let me know what you're going to do. Or if you have other fun ways. Like, let's share ideas. How do you plan for the new year? What is a fun way to plan for you? And speaking of YouTube subscribers, make sure, 1, that you're subscribing, but 2, go to the post tab on the YouTube channel and click the link that allows you to fill out your information in the form to be in the running for the free Hustle and Flow t-shirt that we give away each and every week, just as a thank you. That's it. That's it. That's it for the week. That's it for this episode. That's it for the month. That's it for the year, y'all. We are going into 2024, and I will see you on the other side. Happy holidays. Thank you so much for joining me for this week's podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, give the episode a like and leave a comment below so we can keep the conversation going. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss a future episode or announcement. Listening on Apple, Spotify, or another podcast app, you can watch the video and join in the after show conversation by visiting hustleandflowpodcast.com.